Let's go!
It's the LA Football Podcast.
Touchdown Ram! Recovered by the Chargers. Touchdown UCLA!
With USC great and NFL stud, Frostee Rucker.
The Trojans back in front!
And LAFB founder Ryan Dyrud on the Bleav Podcast Network and LAFBnetwork.com. This is your destination for Los Angeles football.
Los Angeles, what's going on? Welcome to the Bleav in LA Football Podcast on the Bleav Podcast Network, LAFBnetwork.com, your destination for Los Angeles football. It's the preview show, end of the week. Can't wait for these games on Sunday and Monday this week. Joined as always, I'm Ryan Dyrud with Frostee Rucker. My man, what's going on?
What's up, Ryan? What up, LA? I'm good, man. I'm getting excited for some ball. We got a Sunday, Monday game. Sunday, it's bright and early. And then Monday night, we can all focus in on the game. So I'm pumped if they play the game.
Yeah. Hurricane season down near New Orleans. So there was talks of, the Saints evacuating to like Indianapolis or something. They stalled that, so they should be okay. But I'm curious why they don't just move the game right now to LA. There's nothing going on. But we were talking pre-show, and you were saying, well, the logistics with hotels and with COVID, it does make things a lot more complicated. So as of now, the game is still a go in New Orleans on Monday night.
Well, hopefully our teams can get 2 wins this weekend, I would say this weekend, Sunday, Monday-ish, and win in the respective win columns. And we do got a special guest today, don't we, Ryan?
That we do. We are going to be joined by the great Fred Smoot, who played for Washington 2 times, played for Washington, then went to Minnesota, and then back to Washington. And now he hosts the Bleav in Washington football podcast here on the Bleav Podcast Network with us. So he's going to join us to give us some insight to that Washington football team and have a little back and forth. So it was fun meeting Fred, and hopefully our viewers enjoy this conversation coming up.
Old Mississippi State Bulldog.
That's right. Those Mississippi guys. Gotta love them. Did you ever play Mississippi in your college days? Any Mississippi schools?
No, never played them, but had tons of teammates that went to Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and, with Dion down there now, Mississippi's got a lot going on.
Yeah, Jackson State, right, where Dion went? That'll be fun. Remember, did you see that report that came out that his, staff was all these stars? Then obviously he came out and said, no, that's not true, but that would have been crazy. I can't remember the guys. Yeah. It would have been wild.
I know if he called me, I'd go down there. It's just opportunity to, to coach with Deion Sanders, to be impactful for HBCU. It's a lot of excitement and energy going on right now in the state of Mississippi.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So, but before we get into our conversation with Fred, talk about our sponsors of the show, betonline.ag. They're back. Big thanks to them. Plenty of sports going on right now. Dodgers playing the Padres in a very fun series. Dodgers hope to wrap that up soon. You got the Lakers going for, is that game tonight or tomorrow?
Why couldn't you lead with the Lakers? Why couldn't you just lead with the Lakers? Are you still mad because we beat your Nugs?
No, this is live. I just do this off the cuff. I don't know. Dodgers D comes before L. I just thought of that. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't watch baseball, really. I'll be real. I haven't watched a single baseball game this playoff. So, but is that game tonight to the Laker game?
Me neither. Thinking about it. No, it's tomorrow, I believe.
Tomorrow. Okay. So Friday night, the Lakers will look to hoist number 17. So that should be a good game, and then plenty of football on, plenty of prop bets. Anyway, lots of stuff to bet on. So head to betonline.ag. Don't miss out on all the sign-up bonuses. If you have not yet been, I don't know what you're doing. So head there now, betonline.ag. Sign up today. A lot of great stuff to bet on, and don't miss out. And then also, obviously, Golden Road Brewery sponsoring the show, your local LA brewery, 5 locations around the Southland. You got Atwater Village. You got 2 in Orange County. You got downtown LA. They are open. I actually went in a few days ago. Delicious food, delicious beer. We got the Rams Who's House, and also we got the Chargers Bolt Up sponsoring the LA Football Podcast. So me and Frosty love indulging in a nice cold brew. And you should too.
Solo cup today, but there's no beer in it. It's only water. I'm
okay. Well, you don't got
the hydrate station.
Hydrate. Okay, there you go. Hydrate station. So, all right. Big thanks to them. Thank you to you for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe to the LA Football Podcast wherever you listen. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this conversation with Fred Smoot. All right, LA fans. Well, another crossover preview show for you on the LA Football Podcast. Extremely excited to welcome in our next guest, Fred Smoot. Played for the Washington, I guess now football team as his time, the Redskins, but played for the Washington football team, now covers the team on Bleav. Fred, what's going on, man? Thanks for taking some time chatting with us.
No problem, right? Thank y'all for having me, man. We go by the faceless men of Washington right now. Until we get a name, we just show up and play football. We are the football players of Washington.
That's all you
Fred,
need.
where are you? Because your umbrella about to blow over.
Well, I'm in VA. I'm just on my deck. It's a beautiful day in VA, right around by 75 degrees. Like I say, I got my cheese plate out here. I got my lemonade. I'm just relaxing, talking to you fellas.
That's what's up, man.
I'm jealous. My brother lived in just north of D.C. in Maryland in Rockville for a little bit. It's beautiful over there. I don't know if you heard of it, but
Oh no, I know Rockville. I go to Rockville times a week.
yeah, it was a cool town. A lot of history there. So, well, Fred, let's get into this game. So Washington comes in at 1-3. I'll just start off with this. The biggest news, obviously, Ron Rivera announcing benching Dwayne Haskins in favor of Kyle Allen, who he seems to have a soft spot for all the way back to his time in Carolina. What do you think of the move? I'll just ask you straight up. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you think Dwayne Haskins was given a fair shot?
I don't think Dwayne was given a fair shot in that sense of it. Considering that I'm not part of the coaching staff and I don't know the ins and outs, it just feels like me, until the guy got a healthy, good offensive line, a number one tight end, I'm like, how could you grade this guy? How could you grade him? I mean, we're talking about a guy that's only 12 games deep into his career. And I think if you tell us this is a building year, why would we want to go to the backup quarterback and build? So it makes me think deep down in my side. They always say, if your girlfriend catch you cheating with another girl, it ain't the girl you catch me with. It's always somebody else I'm thinking about. So actually, I know Kyle Allen is going in, but this might be a step to get Alex Smith in there, if you ask me.
Yeah, it was weird because Kyle was number 3 on the depth chart, and it looks like he just bumped over Alex. You think Alex is still hurt? Is that a move, or he just?
No, I don't think Alex is still hurt. I think Alex is healthy. I think everything with Alex right now going to be mental. When you come back from injuries, you can practice all you want to, but until he gets some game action where linemen are around his ankle and around his feet, that's when you'll know mentally is he back. But I just think they did this because they feel like they couldn't just throw Alex right into the fire. You throw Kyle in there, see what he can do. He's familiar with the offense. He knows the offense better than anybody. And I think that's what the coaching staff got in mind right now.
Yeah. Do you think, the rushing attack right now in Washington hasn't been great, ranked 30th in the league, I Bleav. Is that something that they think maybe Kyle Allen is a little more mobile, a guy that can help? And then obviously that alludes to what Alex Smith brings, or what do you think they can do with the rushing game to help out the offense?
I don't think either of the quarterbacks are any particular mobile guys.
Yeah.
I think all of them are pocket passes. I think the running game got to get established with the running backs in the line of scrimmage. I talked earlier about the fact that the offensive line has been playing poor. Brandon Sheriff, one of the best offensive linemen we got, he hasn't played. He got kicked out the club. So it's just a lot going on with that offensive line right now. And I think that causes the pass game to flutter. That causes the running game to not be existent. And I think that's what led to the benching of Dwayne Haskins, the fact that nothing was coming together. So I think they think by putting Kyle Allen in, at least they can open up the run by passing the ball.
Yeah, and with the new coach coming in, how's the team adapting to him? Do you think they like Coach Rivera?
I think they love Coach Rivera, man, and I think they revere Coach. The one thing I can say right now, everybody in the building played sports in some form or fashion, from Coach Rivera to Coach Del Rio to our president. Everybody suited up, been to war before, and I think that gains a lot of respect from the players. And something that goes on in the locker room, I hate to say it, but when bad things happen, it brings and galvanizes the locker room. And, of course, with Coach going through and battling cancer, they're right there with him. And when he stands up in front of them and say, you know what, no excuses, I'm going to be at work every day, I think that just make them revere him and want to, go out there and play for him even more.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Coach Rivera. I think the job he did down in Carolina, working with Cam and that team and getting them all the way to the Super Bowl, says enough about him, an ex-player. And that right now, for me, is a trend that I'd like to see more. Obviously, he's a minority, but on top of that, he's an ex-player. And that speaks volumes. Yeah. Like you just said, the cancer stuff that he's going through, he's sitting up there still leading this team. And I'm sure guys are going to run through the wall for him. And I hope this team gets it turned around.
Well, I think we'll get it turned around. The whole thing about it is, I think just realizing as a fan base, what are your realistic expectations? That's when you get let down, when you have unrealistic expectations. You look at this roster, and 80% of our roster is under the age 25. All right, the
Right.
time to learn how to win is now, but the winning is in the future. The winning is going to start to happen year 2, year 3, year 4, Rivera. And once the winning starts with this core guys, it won't stop for a long time. Terry McLaurin under 25. Chase Young under 25. Haskins, if he get back under the ham, under 25. The whole D-line under 25. So the talent is there. I think patience is the virtue in Washington right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You said it. Nothing, Rome wasn't built in a day, the old adage. It's going to take time to build that. And Rivera came in to rebuild a culture. And speaking of culture, you briefly mentioned him, new president, Jason Wright. What was that hire? How big of a hire was that for an organization? It's been under a lot of scrutiny for stuff off the field, and now they're bringing a guy that can hopefully bring this stuff together. But what was your thoughts on that hire?
I thought it was a great hire, just to get some diversity into the front office. I've always wondered why the teams always felt we was good enough to play football, but we're not good enough to put a football team together. We've been in those locker rooms. We know guys on a more personal level, and we know players better than some coaches. So I always wonder why ex-football players were never up for the GM job. And I think Washington did a great job of saying, you know what, let's go all football all the time. And I think it'll be a pattern that a lot of teams start to pick up on and start to run with.
Yeah, I mean, you see it in the NBA. There's a lot of ex-players. They get the nod. They're the head coaches before, they're out of their uniform. They're already assistant coaches and head coaches. And, this move, I think, moves the needle a lot. This is some of the things and questions that a lot of us ask. Why?
Mm-hmm.
You go there and you want to they throw you in the scouting department or they throw you in the coaching stuff, and you never really elevate to use your brain. And with this move right here, it sets the trend that now is the time to hire minorities. Now it's the time to get the pulse of the team. And for guys like ourselves that played, to see that if we're in a locker room right now, it's like, man, that's something I can strive for one day.
Yep. Once you see somebody do it and it's obtainable, it allows us to go out there and chase it. And we also have one of the first female coaches on the staff. So I think Washington is doing a good job of diversifying everything, going into the forefront, and understand we went through a lot of stuff in our season, but we're going to leave that in the past and we're going to go towards the future, and we're going to go towards the future the right way.
Yeah, they're actually making all the moves to do it the right way with all that noise that they did have. With the Rams coming in town, how do you foresee this game? Do you think it's just a slaughterhouse, or do you think Washington's going to be competitive with the new quarterback?
Well, first of all, I got deep connections to the Rams. Of course, I know Coach McVay and most of the coaches he took from the staff. But I'm also connected to one Cam Akers, because Cam is from Jackson, Mississippi, where I'm from, and he actually played for my little Redskin youth team that I actually made in Jackson, Mississippi, where he scored 5 touchdowns a game in those games. So, of course, I'm attached to Cam Akers also. So I'm looking for him to hopefully have a good game and a loss. But when you look at these teams, we on defensively, we can pretty much play anybody. Offensively is the question, can we score with the Rams? And this is Kyle Allen's chance to say, to get in there and kind of see, can he get an offensive boost? See, can we get the running game going? And we're going to have somebody that actually block Aaron Donald. That's going to be the problem. Is Aaron Donald going to ruin this game for us? That's the big question. Nobody's blocked him all year. He's playing against one of the weaker offensive lines. If we can neutralize him and give us a chance to push the ball down the field, now maybe we got a chance.
There's a lot of variables in that one, Fred.
Yeah. Hey, the Giants took him to the brink, though. You never know.
No, you never know. Any given Sunday, and it's a couple of matchups you really want to watch. You want to make sure you watch that Terry McLaurin, Jalen Ramsey matchup. I'm telling you right now, nobody has managed to cover this guy all year, no matter who he goes against year in and year out, no matter who's the quarterback, no matter who's calling the plays. Terry McLaurin is always open. Another matchup I said I want to really watch is the Rams offensive line, one of the better offensive lines against one of the better defensive lines. I think that could change this game and force it to be a low-scoring game, and that works in our favor.
It does.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. Oh, go ahead, Frost.
No, I was just going to speak on what Coach McVay coming back, playing versus Washington. I know he wants to light that scoreboard up, because he probably still feels some type of way that he wasn't the one that got to stay when they kept Gruden. So This is going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, coach's revenge. It's just like players' revenge. You trade me, I got to come back and show you that you messed up. It's like showing out in front of your ex-girlfriend, showing her your new girlfriend. She's a lot cuter than you.
Yeah. I think it would be a lot more volatile too if Gruden was still there, but I think with the new staff it won't be quite as bad. But you mentioned Terry McLaurin, and I know Jordan Fuller plays safety, but they both did play at Ohio State together, so it'll be fun to see if they have any matchup whatsoever. But speak on the defensive line a little bit, Fred. I know been decimated by injuries still. Jonathan Allen's been banged up. Obviously, the rookie Chase Young, but how have they been able to still stay so competitive and dominant? I think the defensive rush unit is like 7th in the league, so still doing a great job.
Yeah. Well, first of all, they're deep. They're the deepest part of the roster. You got guys like Tim Settle that couldn't even get on the field before Matthias got hurt. You got to understand, Montez Sweat gets swallowed by the monster called Chase Young, but he's actually leading the team in sacks. Ryan Anderson comes off the bench. He's an edge rusher. Ryan Kerrigan is only the top sack master of the Washington football team. So it's so deep on that defensive line, and it can come at you with so many different mysteries and so many different ways. It allows us to rush forward and play everybody else back and mix up some exotic coverages and stuff. But when you want to talk defensive line, we're no short of guys over here. Even when they're hurt, even when we got a couple of guys banged up, we're still pretty deep on that side of the ball.
Yeah, that's good to hear, because I'm sure they're hearing all the hype with AD coming in town, what that Rams defensive line is all about. They went to the Super Bowl in the past, and now they get to compare themselves. And, with a guy like Chase on the outside, I'm sure he's going to be watching that Rams defense, seeing if he can pick up some moves, I'm sure, from those older veterans on the opposite side. But it's going to be competitive. And like you said, it's going to be a defensive line slugfest, I feel like.
Oh, no, most definitely going to be a defensive line game. It's also going to be a cornerback game. Luckily, we got Fuller back. Fuller, one of those guys that all he does is make plays. Actually, I was hoping when Fuller came back, they actually moved into free safety. It made more sense to me, because if we're hurting anywhere right now, it's at the safety position. Landon Collins is one of our lead dogs. He hasn't played up to the task this year. Troy Ackley hasn't played up to the task this year. But Jimmy Moreland and the rest of those guys at the corner position have been playing pretty steady. And that's why I would consider making the defense a little safer by putting Fuller at free safety, giving us the chance to run with Cooper Kupp and the rest of those guys. Because we know one thing about the Rams, they love to run the ball just to set up the play action and push the ball down the field.
Absolutely. And you basically alluded to my final question, just we talk about the Rams running game, who outside of last game has been very successful in doing that, running it 30 plus times a game. They'll be facing a stout Washington team in that again. So when you look at that unit and you look at Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, even the tight ends, Tyler Higbee, that really hasn't had a breakout game yet this year. He had the 3 touchdowns against Philly, but didn't have a ton of yards. How do you like the unit overall? You kind of alluded to it, but do you like Fuller back? Do you like them able to shut down this really good aerial attack when it does get going?
No, I love the receiving core. I love the continuity of the receiving core. The guys been around each other 3-4 years, and if you got a group like that with the same head coach, you have an advantage in this short year where it was no off season, it was no preseason game. So y'all are already on the same page. Y'all just add to the playbook where we actually just starting the playbook. But I think that those guys only get going when the running game get going. When you force Jared Goff to throw the ball 40 times, you're playing for a victory, because that's when the Rams up on you. When they went to the Super Bowl, they ran the ball with Todd Gurley, and that's what I see McVay trying to get back to, making the run game the lead dog and the pass game just the big play spurts that he needs. Yeah,
we've been obviously covering the Rams this whole time and watching them get back to their old ways. They shipped Gurley away, and now they got back by a committee back there, but. It's an interesting thing, you know what I'm saying? Because the Rams offense has struggled, and they are playing versus a decent. I don't want to say decent, overachieving defense. I would say that for the Washington. You guys are overachieving right now.
What are you talking about? Overachieving? Are you serious? I got a defensive line with 4 first rounders on it. I literally have a linebacking core that has all kind of experience. I got a Super Bowl winning cornerback in Kyle Fuller. I got a guy that been there, done that in Landon Collins. And you call it my defense overachieving?
Well, like you said, Fred, like you said, a lot of them are under 25 years old. They didn't get OTAs, minicamp, nothing like that. So if you're looking at it, like going back to what you said at the beginning, what did you expect out of this team? So that's why I'm saying they're overachieving.
No, defense is always simpler and always start out faster in the preseason and the offseason than the offense. Offense is more complex. No, defense is going to play no matter what. If I call cover 2 or cover 1, they know how to go out there and do that. That's easy work. What I'm saying is they some young, hungry dogs full of talent. You got to understand, ain't no overachieving here. They said it. I said it before the year started, top 10 defense. And they're living up to it. They're playing like a top 10 defense. We just played Lamar Jackson, the MVP. I didn't do bad against Lamar. Didn't give up 200 yards. Of course, he had that 150-yard run, but actually did pretty good against Lamar. Played against Carson Wentz, a lot of good quarterbacks. I'm telling you, by the end of this year, this defense will be solidified top 10 defense, and they still all under 25.
Yeah, that defense almost got Carson Wentz hurt and fired.
Yeah, traded.
Yeah, that's what we try.
Yeah, Fred, I'm going to be honest with you. This is a game that worries me for the Rams. I don't want to call it a trap game by any means, but because you alluded to that defense, how good they are, it worries me that this offense, after seeing how they played last week against the Giants, who the Giants have a similar, I guess, style with a good front seven and then a suitable back end, and then Washington has a very, very good front seven. So this game worries me a little bit, and I think Washington can play spoiler. Just straight up prediction, do you think Washington has a chance of winning this game?
Oh, I think we have a chance of winning those games. And it's a couple of teams that, no matter how the year going for us, we just played in well. And the Rams in Seattle are two of those teams in Green Bay that we just play well. And the one thing that we got going for us is the fact that we did go to Kyle Allen at quarterback, and now y'all defensive coordinator don't know what to study when it comes to the offense. He don't know what we're going to come out there and do on the offense. So you're talking about a good defense, an optimistic offense, and we got a great special team. Yes, I think we can win this game. And matter of fact, I'm going to go out on limb and say 24-17.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. You just said your offensive line isn't good, and we got Aaron Donald and Brockers coming in town with Leonard on the edge. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Hey, Aaron Donald is only one man. Aaron Donald is one man. We got a defensive team coming to play. Aaron Donald, one dude. How about the fact we got 5 Aaron Donalds coming off the ball? How about that?
Whoa.
Okay.
Maybe they all add to one.
1.5. We'll give him 1.5.
He's a special.
Fred, all right, Fred, before we let you go, I'm going to put you on the spot. Team name. What are you coming up with? If you're in the front office, they said, Fred, name this team right now. What are you naming them?
Man, it's a big vacuum right now. I kind of shouted something out a couple months ago with the Red Wolves, and everybody been running with it right now, man. Everybody love Red Wolf Nation. I think it'll be cool to have 80,000 howling like wolves every time Chase Young get a sack. Haskins throw a touchdown. I think it'll be a good one. So right now, I'm the Red Wolf himself, so I'm going to go with the Red Wolf.
I like that. Then you just need to trade for Derek Wolfe across the river. He's in Baltimore, and he'd fit right in with the Wolves.
Bring him on.
Love it. So, well, Fred, it was a pleasure. Fred Smoot, former player for Washington, covers the Washington football team on the Bleav podcast, does a ton of other stuff around the league as well. Appreciate you so much for taking the time. Enjoy that lemonade and sunshine, and hopefully we can, next time we're out in D.C. area, we'll be invited to that backyard.
All right, anytime, fellas, man. Thanks, man. Thanks for having
Fred,
me on.
Last thing.
Yeah.
You heard from Tommy Kelly?
I talk to TK all the time. He coaching at our old high school. He coaching at Provine High School right now. So he back at our alma mater putting that work in. Right down, Jackson State is literally inside high school. So I got Deion State and Tommy Kelly at my high school. So Mississippi rocking right now when it comes to
rocking.
Yes, they are. Yeah, they are. So,
all right, Mike. Nice to meet you, man. Thanks for coming on with us.
Thanks, fellas. Thank y'all for having me.
Thanks, Fred. Appreciate you. We'll talk soon.
Ryan, I love when ex-players are in this role now that they get to, be on podcasts and speak their mind. And me and Fred got an old friend, Tommy Kelly, played for the Raiders, played with me in Arizona. He told me put a little hot sauce on the conversation and watch Fred go. So that's the only reason I started messing with him a little bit. But, it's good stuff, man. He's right. He's very accurate on a lot of things. Washington does have a good team, but I feel like what the Rams put out there last weekend, it wasn't to their standard. And I feel like with McVay coming back, the standard wasn't set last week. I feel like they run away with this one.
Yeah. I mentioned
I'm not giving you a points, but I think they run away with it.
Okay. I love it. Yeah. I mentioned it. It worried me because of what that defense can do. But you make a good point, and a coach like Sean McVay, who's known for his offensive prowess as an offensive guru, and after 3 weeks of good offensive production, and then last week to come out like that, and everyone's already talking, oh, here we go again. The offense lost it. Sean McVay's play calling lost it. Where was the running game? Jared Goff didn't look good again. He wants to put that to bed immediately, come out with a bunch of new stuff against his former team. And yeah, I could see this offense clicking on all cylinders, getting the ball out quick, and really, not exposing, but basically making that defensive line useless if they just get rid of it super quick.
Coach's revenge. It's going to come back, to bite Washington in their butt. And I feel like he's the one that got away. I wish they never got away. But, to their credit, they do have Rivera there now. Great coach. I'm actually a big fan of Gruden too. But Sean McVay is the one they shouldn't have let go. Yep.
Yeah. Tough to stop that unless they're going to fire a head coach and promote him. So they would have been interesting if they tried to keep him, but he's with LA now and obviously doing big things. So should be a great game though. 10 a.m. kickoff will be in Washington. And then the Rams hopefully can seal that with the win and come back to LA 4-1. So Frostee thinks a blowout. I like it. Bold.
I do. I mean, I'm usually not on this side of it, but I just feel like, the Rams have a certain standard that they've been playing with. They've got their identity back, running the ball, passing the ball, getting it down the field with Robert Woods and Cooper, and they got away from it. And I feel like good teams practice hard and correct the mistakes. And I feel like they're just going to come out on fire, and obviously there's not going to be a crowd there, but they'll silence a lot of the critics.
Yeah. Well, great. We'll love to see it. Rams fans, let us know how you feel about this game. Hit up Frostee Podcast, yahoo.com. He's on the socials. The Organic Frost. I am Ryan Dyrud, LAFB. Love to hear your thoughts about this game, your excitement for it, any concerns. Obviously, there's a little banged up on both sides of the ball. Cam Akers is said to be a go finally after missing a couple games. So Sean McVay, we should have our 3 running backs good to go again. The only thing I want to mention before we sign off on this segment is definite concern on the inside linebacker position for the Rams, as both starting guys, Kenny Young and Micah Kiser, both have not practiced yet this week. So not been designated as out yet, but that's definitely a concern. And it may be that game where we finally start seeing a lot more 3 safety sets, and maybe we'll finally see the 3rd-round draft pick, Terrell Burgess, get a lot more game time action. Jordan Fuller was a full participant, so he should be good to go. But that'll be definitely something to watch for us with those 2 starting linebackers not yet practicing.
And it may be a time for, if you guys are fantasy players out there, to draft Logan Thomas, the tight end, because it may be a mismatch for this quarterback coming in, going against new, fresh middle linebackers.
There you go. Yeah, great point. Watch that linebacker position, Logan Thomas. Didn't he play quarterback in college at Virginia Tech or something?
And I seen him on TV playing tight end. They tried to do it to him in Arizona.
That's right. He was in Arizona. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in Arizona. We drafted him, and he was completely against it. But again, when you drop your ego in the NFL, there's a spot for you if you can play ball, and I'm glad to see that. I'm gonna stay tuned in this game to watch him play.
Yeah, I'm always curious why more players, and it is what it is, but a guy like Tim Tebow could have played at a different position. He just wasn't a good quarterback, but he could still be playing in the league if he would have played a different position. But anyway, Logan Thomas has been playing well, and he, been given the opportunity. And yeah, if you're a fantasy guy, look for him to be, unfortunately, maybe wreaking havoc on this Rams interior linebacking unit. So we'll see, Frost. I'm looking forward to it. 10 a.m. kickoff should be fun.
Yes, sir.
All right, Frosty. Well, let's now get to our second game of the NFL weekend, as the Chargers at the moment are going to be traveling to the Big Easy, to New Orleans, to face the 2-2 Saints. There is a chance, with Hurricane Delta rolling in, supposed to hit the mainland Friday or Saturday, I believe. If it's bad enough, they would move this game to Indianapolis, to Lucas Oil Stadium. I want to ask you this before we get into the game. Is it weird to you at all that they wouldn't just have this game in LA? There's no fans anyway, so there's really no home field advantage, but the Chargers then wouldn't travel. Is it just to keep them traveling? Is that the reason why they would move it to Indy, you think?
Yeah, I think just per the request of, I think the rules are the way it is. They just have to have an away game. And Indy's a safe place. I don't think there's anything going on, and I don't think there's any snow yet. So, on that note, let's give a shout out to the folks down there in New Orleans and Louisiana, all down there in the boot, to be safe, right? To be safe. They cover. If it's, it's coming, get out of town, travel to Indy, I don't know. But,
Yeah.
because these hurricanes ain't nothing to play with.
No, those hurricanes are no joke. And obviously we know the history of what's happened down there with them. We don't have to get into that. But an amazing city nonetheless, and one that hopefully this will just kind of go over easy. No pun intended with the Big Easy. And then we can get on to football on Monday. So you like that?
Yeah, I did.
Good. I try every now and then I'll get a good one. But so this Chargers team, let's start with Justin Herbert, man. Does he get his first win this weekend? I know he's going against another probably idol, back-to-back weeks, having Brady and Breeze. This will be Breeze's fourth and probably final matchup with the team that drafted him. Remember, the San Diego Chargers drafted him years ago in 2004. So Herbert goes up against another idol. Do you think he does able to get his first win in the NFL?
Whoa. A win? That's a stretch. But I can see where you're coming from. New Orleans is 2-2. We're 1-3. It's right there. Justin is balling, though. Back-to-back weeks, he's playing versus future Hall of Fame players. I just love to watch this kid compete. Coaches are putting him in the opportunity to make plays, and he continues to grow, and that offense continues to get better. And he's really making strides to be neck and neck with Joe Burrow for this Rookie of the Year. I give him the slight edge, but that's only because of what he got thrown into the fire.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow started off as a starter. Everything since day one has been all Joe Burrow. So Justin's been here running the scout team and then gets thrown in the fire. So the only reason he's a little behind, and he's not far off in stat-wise, but the only reason he's a little behind is just because it's just experience. He doesn't have the games under his belt.
Yeah. No, Justin's played great. Through 3 games as a rookie, second all-time in yards behind only Cam Newton. So the kid looks great. Looks definitely, we don't want to get way too far down the line. We are only 3 games in, but through 3 games, definitely looks like he has a grasp of the playbook, has a grasp of the speed of the game, which is the hardest thing for these young rookies to adapt to, and has adapted the offense. The guys seem to love him. He has control of the huddle. He can make all the throws. So, this is a game that, sitting at 1-3 with all the injuries, I think they do match up well against the Saints. And, I'm not willing to say here too yet, maybe as we talk through it, I'll talk myself into it, but I'm not willing to say they're going to get the win and his first win yet. It's a tough place to play. Even though there's no fans, it's still a tough place to play. There's still a home field advantage in the Big Easy, somewhere that Drew Brees is so great, has broken so many records. So it's going to be a tough matchup. But let me ask you this, Frostee, as a player, I know every player tells you it's week to week, you're there for that game, but is there a point when that record starts to get in your head and say, you know what, I'm still going to go out there and compete and play hard, but the season's relatively over? Like if they go to 1-4, and I don't want to play bad news bears or negativity here, but if you go to 1-4, is there any thoughts that crop in your head like, man, I don't know if we can climb out of this, let's just go out there and play, but the season might be, written off?
Well, you have to go off how the coach sees it, because the coach is ultimately, it sets the tone, at the environment, the energy, and how positive it's going to be at work. I don't think any of the players will tank, so to say, but I do feel if they start letting the noise come in, that they're not playing up to their abilities or they suck. A lot of people don't care about the variables of what happened in sports. They don't care about the injuries and whatnot. They see the finished on Sunday or Monday night, right? That's all they see, and that's all they judge you off. And it's tough, but as a player, a competitive player, I might add, I never let that sink in. I played for the Bengals for many years, and we didn't win a lot of games some of those years, right?
Yeah.
But you compete to the level because you're playing next to your buddy. And let's be real, the expectations when I played in Cincinnati weren't that great, So we didn't have to pay attention to the noise. But, the Chargers, they're on the rise.
Yeah.
I don't think this team, the way they've been playing, gets to that point where they feel the negativity.
Yeah. No, yeah. I hope I think I agree. And this is kind of off topic for us, but I'm curious. When you go from a team like USC, where you guys won 2 national titles, did you even lose in your time there? Maybe 1 game? Yeah. Played great. And then you go to a team like Cincinnati where no winning culture, hadn't really won anything. Just curious, how hard was it for you as a player? Because we see it, Joe Burrow didn't lose at LSU, won the national championship, then goes to Cincinnati. Justin Herbert won the Rose Bowl at Oregon, many years of success at Oregon. How hard is it just for these players to go from a college program that does nothing but win and then going into a culture that is trying to build a winning culture but hasn't done anything but lose? How hard is that?
It's very tough because you come in with a smile on your face, right? Joe Burrow comes in with a cigar in his hand, riding first overall pick, big championship ring, all that. It doesn't matter anymore. Then you get, thrown into a locker room like him in Cincinnati, for instance. I'll just put this. You go in a locker room where they just lost their quarterback, all this stuff just to get you. But culturally, it's not a very good franchise, right? Or they haven't won a lot.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was very tough for me. I came in smiling. I lost my last game versus Texas, but I came in smiling. Just the body of work that I did in college made me smile. I was very proud of what I did. I was very proud of coming into that locker room. But being in that locker room, in that sense, there was a lot of guys that never won. They never had success. So it takes a while for the whole team to get on that positive march and let it feed off each other, But again, it comes from up top. There's a lot of things that are working up there that you have no idea, and they keep it like that. So then nothing ever grows, but.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. And I think that's what the Chargers are hopefully trying to instill with Anthony Lynn, who now, he's going into his 4th year. But I think he's been building that. Obviously, in year 2, wins 12 games. They go to the AFC division game where they lose to the Patriots, I believe, that year. But they won a playoff game in Baltimore against the young Lamar Jackson. And then last year, obviously, just had a big setback. And so you start questioning, okay, is this coming from the top? Is it just bad luck? Was it? And there was a lot of factors go into it. But I think this is a team, and we say every week, and we don't want to just sound like we're, on the team's payroll or anything, because we're not by any means. But it's a team, I think, we're not. Trust me, we are not. Would be nice if we were, but we're not. But it's a team making strides at 1-3. And I think even if they fall to 1-4, which I hope they don't, I think they're going to play a competitive game. But we've seen how they play, and it's just getting over that little hump. And how do you think Frostee do that? Is that Anthony Lynn making some aggressive calls? Is it just bad luck, or they need a good luck? How do they make that turn where seemingly every game they're in only lost by 1 possession in all 3 of their losses? How do they make that turn to make those 1-possession losses into 1-possession wins?
I think it really comes down to experience, Ryan. I think going through these moments, like I said last week, we wanted to see Justin go through a 4th quarter drive into the game, chance to win it, experience, coachable moments, teach tape, right?
Yeah.
But then they get over the hump going through the highs and lows of the NFL. Some guys get this instant success and they don't even believe the NFL's hard, and then they come into the next season and, they're on the cover and then it all goes down the can, right? Mm-hmm. But they're growing together, right? You're seeing this team grow, and they have to all mesh and just get put into these positions with this quarterback. And if it comes down to the same situation that happened last week where he gets a chance to have a 4th quarter drive or end of the game drive, they convert that, and there it is. The teaching moments, the coaching moments, and that's when Anthony Lynn can sit up there in a press conference and say, I told you so, right? Mm-hmm. Because they have to get experience through those moments.
Yep, absolutely. And the organization, in my opinion, too, has to find that guy that they're going to rally behind and stick with through thick or thin. And I think we have that in Justin Herbert. You look at every organization, because fans love to look at, look at the Chiefs. They're good every year. Look at the Patriots. They're good every year. Look at the Packers. Look at the Steelers. But what do all those teams have in common? They've had their franchise quarterback chosen since the draft. And Roethlisberger, obviously Brady not in New England anymore, but he was for years. Aaron Rodgers, who went right after Brett Favre. You have Russ in Seattle. It's these organizations that found their guy, paired him with their coach, and then they've stuck with it and they've built something. And so we have to stick with Anthony Lynn and Justin Herbert. That needs to be a marriage that if you thought was good enough when they took Justin Herbert, it needs to be a marriage that gets stuck with through thick and thin. And unfortunately, a 1-3 start's not what we wanted, but we've seen the marriage begin to blossom, and hopefully we'll see it grow and we'll see better anniversaries down the line. And that was a lot of marriage puns and comparisons and analogies, but I think it works in the NFL.
Yeah, it does. And like you said, we're seeing them grow. We're seeing them make these plays and show us why they picked them, right? And why Coach Lynn's so high on this team. He hasn't given up on this team. He's not frustrated in his press conferences. He's only motivated and pushing this team forward. He's pushing his coaches to coach harder, and they will jump over the hump just because of that. Once you start seeing it chip away when guys are pointing fingers at each other, we know what's going on. They've had injuries, right? They got a brand new quarterback thrown into the fire that was, buying the team food and all that before, now he's a starting quarterback. Before he was just a rookie, right?
Yeah.
It's coming together. And I want the Charger fans out there to really stay with this team and cheer them on, because they're putting a product out there that is nothing to be ashamed of.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, 1-3, but it's a proud 1-3, if you can say that. But they have looked good. So let's get into this game a little bit, Frost, with the Saints. We can let's start on the offense side for the Chargers, going against a fairly good defense, a Dennis Allen run defense down there in New Orleans. I forgot Dennis Allen was like a head coach for the Raiders for a year, but he's been the D coordinator down there in New Orleans for a while. But what do you like about – okay, let me just ask this. So we saw last week 3 guys step up. That was one of our big keys. Who's going to step up besides Keenan Allen, besides Hunter Henry, besides Austin Eckler? Obviously, Eckler goes down, unfortunately. I actually saw something that him on Twitch announced that, he feels good. He thinks he's going to be back quicker than that 4 to 6 weeks. The injury could have been worse. So good to hear that. Hopefully a speedy recovery. But so he goes down. But then we see, Tyron Johnson, we see Donald Parham, and we see drawing a blank now, but a third guy who has, each have 1 catch for 1 touchdown. So finally some guys stepping up, doing some Jalen Guyton. There's the other guy, sorry. So who in this game do you want to see kind of step up? Do you want to just see, heavy dosage of Keenan Allen? Do we think Joshua Kelly is going to be the guy?
I want to see Keenan. I want Keenan to take over a game. I think this matchup, if Michael Thomas plays, it's a matchup that the NFL fans, I know myself, want to see. And Keenan hasn't had that breakout game. He's had good games, great catches, and, scored. But I want to see him take over a game, 225, 2 tuds, something like that, to really get this thing going with the quarterback. And once they get on that same wavelength, I think that's when we're going to see this thing blossom. And I'm waiting for that game. I'm really waiting for Keenan to have that breakout game.
I agree. I think Herbert's already made a pretty good rapport with Keenan, but if we can we talk all the time about we think Keenan Allen is slighted and isn't quite as given the respect that he deserves. Michael Thomas is, I think, unanimously considered the top receiver in the league. You have Hop, you have Julio Jones, you have the other guys. And Keenan Allen's kind of, falls in that 9 to 10 range, which I don't agree with personally, not just being a homer. I think it should be in that top 5 range. And this is the game.
I think it's team success that,
Totally. Yeah, and this is the game I think he proves that. I hope Mike Thomas plays so we can have that awesome matchup of Keenan and Thomas and who can outduel the other. And that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And I think I think he does have a big game. I think he's ready to have that breakout moment on the big stage on Monday Night Football and show the world that he is worthy of that top 2 contract, that he's worthy of being in that top 5 conversation. And yeah, Frost, if he can go 225 and a touchdown, I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun, and I know I'll be cheering. So the matchup I also want to see is who's going to block Cam Jordan. Obviously, he is a bona fide top 5 pass rusher in this league. We got Tevy out there. Can he block him? Can Pippins block him? I don't know. For 4 quarters on Monday Night Football, hopefully, because if they slow him down, I think the Chargers have a great chance of winning. Yeah,
no, that's going to be a huge matchup, and I think this beat-up offensive line has played better, I think, than expected for how injured they've been. And part of that's, play calling. Part of that's Justin Herbert being able to play well under pressure and get rid of the ball. But Brian Bulaga, right tackle, is questionable. We'll see if he goes. If not, it should be Trey Pipkins, like you mentioned. That'll be a huge matchup because Cam Jordan is another guy who I think is underrated, doesn't really get the credit he deserves. But he is a bona fide superstar pass rusher, and he's going to be getting after the quarterback. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So, also got to look at the running game. No Austin Eckler, Joshua Kelly, Justin Jackson. Kelly, man, I love Joshua Kelly. We both do. UCLA guy, so he's an LA kid, but he's had 2 fumbles.
I'm starting him in my fantasy this week, so he better do
starting him. So you feel confident.
I do. And he was on the waiver wire, and I didn't have it.
There you go. But he's had a fumble in each game, so hopefully he bounces back because we've seen as soon as he does fumbles, his carry and workload definitely goes way down. I mean, that's kind of common anyway, but Anthony Lynn being a former running back, I'm sure he doesn't like seeing his running backs put the ball on the ground. So that'll be big to watch. Can Kelly hang on to the ball, and will he get 15 to 20 carries this week?
Yeah, I mean, if they do that, that just frees up Justin to go over the top of this defense. So the run game has to be there.
Yeah. When we look at the defense, How do you think Bosa's played so far this year? I know we talked last week, he was number 2 only behind Donald in actual pressures for the entire league. So obviously in pressures, he's played well. He's gotten home quite often in the sack column. But how do you think he's played? Because obviously he's going to need to have a big game taking Bleav down.
Bosa's doing what Bosa does. He plays hard. He plays relentless. He plays every snap he's out there like it's his last. And those pressures count up. Those are hits on quarterbacks. Those are getting in the quarterback's face and can cause a bad throw, overthrows, tips, and interceptions. So he's playing his game. But my question is, on the opposite side of that, will Uchenna Nwosu, an SC guy, I want to throw that out there, will he match that intensity of Bosa? Because it has to come from both sides.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Because if it doesn't, then they just tee up on Bosa, double, triple teams, have a chip block from the tight end or from a running back. So, Uchenna's, I thought, has played well in Melvin Ingram's stead, who's been injured on the IR. Love Uchenna. It's an opportunity, time for him to show out. And again, he's gotten some pressures, just needs to get it home on the QB, but he'll definitely have to match up that intensity. And in doing so, that's going to put pressure on the final kind of highlight I want to talk about Frostee, and that's, Alvin Kamara, who's been absolutely has almost 600 total all-purpose yards between receiving and rushing, 7 total touchdowns. How do you slow a guy like that even down? I mean, Bleav is so good at, and you can call it Bleav, call it play calling, call it just, an easy out. But it just basically, whenever Kamara leaks out of the backfield, it's an easy 10 yards, it seems like, every time. So how do you put a linebacker spy on him? Do we have Kenneth Murray just kind of follow him around? How do you even stop that?
See, what the New Orleans Saints do, they put a lot of pressure on your defensive coordinator. If you blitz this team a lot, which this is just like last week when you need to get pressure in Breeze's face, right? So he can't get the ball down the field. And luckily the Chargers have some really big guys in the middle. But just to say that, the defensive coordinators can't throw a lot of blitzes because that leaves a matchup that is not a favorable one the majority of the time with Alvin versus whomever. And one-on-one, majority of the time, you cannot tackle him in open field. So you have to do coverages around him and leave people in those flats. And you don't want to get him matched up on linebacker one-on-one because he might run a wheel route on you and beat you that way. So he is the spotlight player of the week. He is just so dangerous. And to think last year with all those injuries he played with, people were so down on him and thought he was, he wasn't as powerful and as potent as he is. Mm-hmm. Look at him now. Yeah, dude's fine. He was just not healthy last year. I think he can put that to rest.
To your point, I think the only way you really slow it down is you got to get pressure with just your front four. If you can not send blitzes and get pressure with Bosa, Nwosu, Jerry Tillery, those guys up front, Linval Joseph, that's really the only way you can slow him down because you're not taking another player away from guarding him to get after Bleav. So huge game from this front four, I think, is going to be the recipe for success for the Chargers.
Yeah, so Tillery and Joseph have to have a big game because they're big guys. They can get their hands up. Bleav isn't a tall quarterback, so tips and overthrows with your hands up can cause some big plays and turnovers. Obviously, we know the Chargers need a lot of turnovers to help this young quarterback out on the opposite end. Short field positions, and that helps. So let's see how good the Chargers are on third down this week, getting off the field, and if they can cause some turnovers.
Yep, that'll be big too, some third down. So Gus Bradley's got a heck of a game, going from playing Brady and now Bleav back-to-back. It was kind of, tough scheduling for the NFL to do that. Force the Chargers to play 2 Hall of Famers back-to-back in away games. But, it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do. So, Frost, you don't got to give me a score, but what do you think? Did you talk yourself into the Chargers can win this, or you think it's going to be another close loss?
I can't say a definite win. But I feel like if they get put in the same situation like last week where the ball's in Justin's hands to close the game out, I think he closes because he has experience.
I agree with that. Yeah, a lot of this is going to come down if Michael Thomas plays, who I think he will play. He's questionable still, but he practiced it limited last week, so I think he will be a go on Monday, which adds another dynamic, especially with the Chargers not having Chris Harris Jr. Obviously, no Derwin James all year, so it's going to be tough, but if I'm being honest, I haven't loved what I've seen out of the Saints. They were one of my top teams coming into the league as a potential Super Bowl favorite. Big losses to the Raiders and the Packers. They played well against Packers, but still didn't get the job done at home. So I think the Chargers are going to match up better than a lot of the national media will give them credit for. I think they come in at like an 8.5 underdog. And I think they cover that. I think they'll at least be a one-possession game. And I think, like you said, if they're given an opportunity and Justin has another chance at the end of the game, I think he does. capitalize on it. So
the stuff you dream about. And Justin's getting a chance to go against another Hall of Famer where it's going to be national televised, and I think he shows up.
Yeah. So I keep calling them a win. I can't not call them a win and then have them win. So I think the Chargers win this one too. I think they get back in the winter column and go to 2-3 and shock the world. So let's see if they can do it.
Sounds good to me.
Should be fun. So that will be Monday night kickoff as of now in New Orleans. We'll see if they end up playing in Indy because of the hurricane. But that'll do it for the previous show. Thanks so much for tuning in to the LA Football Podcast. Frosty, where can everyone find you at?
Find me at The Organic Frost. And don't forget to email me your questions and concerns. There might be concerns after this if Ryan keeps drinking beer at frostypodcast@yahoo.com.
Yeah, maybe. There's probably already plenty of concerns, I'm sure. You can find me, Ryan Dyrud, at Ryan Dyrud, LAFB. The email is podcast@lafbnetwork.com for any generic questions. Make sure to subscribe to the show wherever you listen. We are everywhere you listen to podcasts, and also on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook for your video content. But have a great weekend. Hopefully we can talk to you next week with 2-0 for both of our LA teams. We're also going to be jumping in more UCLA and USC talk as that season is drawing near. So we're super looking forward to that. Less than a month away for the Pac-12 and for UCLA and USC to actually have the pads on and playing. So Frosty, looking forward to that. But thanks as always. I appreciate you. Have a great weekend. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, take care.